On this episode of the Turnbuckle, Gable Steveson, is now training with WWE full-time after a heart procedure. Bandito has not signed an AEW contract, and he confirms a WWE offer. There's a report about a faction being called up to WWE SmackDown, and Saraya has just been cleared by an AEW doctor. Folks, it's time to hit a Death Rider into some wrestling news because it's time for the Turnbuckle. Gable Steveson is now training full-time at the WWE Performance Center after undergoing a heart procedure last month, according to a new report. ESPN reports that Steveson underwent an ablation last month to treat Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome and is now training full-time in Orlando under the guidance of Fit Finley. Hold on, let me adjust the microphone. WPW syndrome is a congenital heart condition that causes rapid heartbeat, according to the Mayo Clinic. An ablation uses small burns or freezes to cause some scarring on the inside of the heart to help break up the electrical signals that cause irregular heartbeats, according to Johns Hopkins Medicine. Shout out to Johns Hopkins, all right? They're out there saving lives. Steveson tells ESPN that the condition was discovered in 2021 prior to his competing in the Olympics in Tokyo, but that he did not undergo the ablation until WWE's medical team guided him through a process that spanned many months. The report states that WWE recommended top cardiologist for Steven and quotes Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque and quotes Triple H. "We're glad to see that Gable is healthy and training full-time at our performance center in Orlando. WWE announced Steveson's signing to a multi-year contract in September 2021. He was drafted to the Raw brand in the 2021 WWE Draft, but has yet to make his in-ring debut." So, as I'm checking my phone to make sure... Show me your phone. No, that's all right. Okay, sorry. I thought it was my father texted me and I thought it was a message that I needed to respond to immediately. It's all right. So... I didn't even know that this was happening. I never like finding out about this because it's like, oh shit, I didn't even know. Because right, so here's the deal, right? I gotta go all the way back, and I'm like, all right, did I say anything hurtful? You know, I swear to God, right? They were like, oh, we're not really doing anything with him because he's not on the thing. And I was like, all right, well, that's fine. You know, there's nothing really wrong with that. If you don't have anything for him, you don't have anything for him. Now I kind of understand why they didn't really have anything for him, because he was doing the whole surgery with his heart and everything like that, you know, so I completely understand. I'm glad that this has been taken care of for the most part, because it kind of reminds me of Keith Lee's condition. I doubt it's the exact same thing, but you know what I'm talking about, right? The thing where, like, okay, God forbid. I'm just saying, I don't want him to, like, excite it. You know what I mean? I don't want him to be, obviously, I don't want him to be wrestling and it happened, but I don't want him to, like, he's wrestling and then he's on a roll and then he has to be taken out because of the heart procedure and stuff like that. Like, but then again, I mean, would you become an Olympian if your heart condition was like that much of a debilitating condition for you? Is that something that you would genuinely think, okay, this is something that I want to do. This is something I want to devote my life to. You know what I mean? Because being an Olympian is, you don't just wake up and then I'm going to become an, no, man, it takes years and years of training and dedication, man. So to make that commitment, knowing the type of condition that you have, it's either A, not that serious, right? It's not that significant, or it is a treatable condition, one where you have to step away, get some procedures done, and then come back like you never left. I don't really know. All I'm hoping is that he's healthy enough to work, and he does not have any type of debilitating health conditions that hinder him later on in his wrestling career, all right? So here's hoping that he doesn't have to worry about this anymore and they just give him the belt because he's been such a good boy, all right? Next, we're going to be talking about, I love when this happens. This is so much fun. I love when I report something and then another report comes out and it's like, actually, that's not true. Shock and intrigue, okay? Despite reports Wednesday that stated otherwise, Bandito has not signed his contract with AEW. Fightful reported Wednesday that Bandito had agreed to terms with Dave Meltzer, later confirming he had signed a deal. On Thursday, Meltzer reported that he was incorrect and that a source close to the Mexican star told him he had not signed his deal. I told you! I said yesterday, a wrestling journalist is allowed to make an opinion. But if they say something and then it turns out that that's not true, then it's up to the wrestling journalist to be like, hey, I was wrong and I apologize. Okay, I didn't say I was a wrestling journalist. I just said in general. My point was, if I want to be a wrestling journalist, I have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, whatever that means. The 27-year-old was offered a contract immediately following his AEW debut 8 days ago against Ring of Honor champion Chris Jericho on Dynamite. In an interview with Mas Lucha, Bandito said he is still in talks with AEW, but also confirmed he received an offer from WWE as well. In the interview, Bandito said that AEW head Tony Khan and Jericho pulled him aside after the match and tried to convince him to sign with Tony Khan, allegedly saying he didn't just want Bandito in AEW, but, quote, I need you in AEW. He also said AEW is likely where he will end up. Well, okay. So again, my stance has not really changed. If you are Bandito, you are backflipping. Okay, you are like, holy shit. One of the top promoters, one of the top wrestling promoters right now just said he needs me. And WWE is giving me an offer, and it's in the Triple H regime. So no matter where I go, I doubt that I'm gonna be they're not gonna have me on a fucking lawnmower. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not gonna treat me like a doofus when I get in there, you know? So this is great. Tony Khan said he needs him. Is it me, or is he showing his hand a little bit too much? Is it just me? You don't, listen, no matter how much you need someone, you don't give away how desperate you are to get them on the roster, because then it's like, all right, well, you need me so much, pay me how much you think you need. You know what I mean? It opens the door for other, like, inconveniences, I'll say, but that's me. If I'm a promoter, I'm not gonna be on my hands and knees begging, unless you're like The Rock, John Cena, Batista, unless you've been around the world like Vader, you know, at that point it's like, all right, please, for the love of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And no shade to Bandito. No shade. And I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve that type of recognition. That's why I fucking said, if you're Bandito, you're going absolutely off the wall. Because, I mean, now, I'm just saying, I doubt that Bandito's been like, no, come over here. No, come over here. No, you should come here. Although maybe he is, because you know what? He's very talented. The point is, I don't know, because I'm not Bandito, and I'm not his agent. So that's pretty much what I mean. He probably does. He's probably got like fucking phone calls flying in. He's ducking his head. All right. He's hiding behind desks. I don't know. Or maybe these are like the only 2 calls he gets. I have no idea. But again, if you're Bandito, this is great. If I'm Tony Khan, maybe don't tell him that I need him. Maybe don't tell him I need him. Maybe tell him that it would be very beneficial to you and our company if you joined our team. But maybe don't reveal it right away that you need him, you know? But that's just me at the end of the day. Next, we're going to be talking about a faction being called up to the main roster. Legado del Fantasma could soon be making their WWE main roster debut. PW Insider reported on Thursday that the plan is for Legado del Fantasma, Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, I don't want to say it in a super American accent because I don't think it's how it's pronounced, Cruz del Toro and Elektra. See, but is that worse? And Elektra Lopez to be part of the SmackDown roster when they make their main roster debut. PW Insider wrote that they've been told Legado del Fantasma may appear as soon as this Friday's episode of SmackDown. This August, Escobar was banished from NXT as a stipulation, of losing to Tony D'Angelo at NXT Heatwave. There was a segment the week after Heatwave where Escobar picked up the rest of Legado del Fantasma in the parking lot and told them he wasn't going to leave NXT without them. Dave Meltzer confirmed in August that Legado del Fantasma were slated for a main roster call-up. This is great. Now, I wanted to talk about this, right? Okay, looking at this, I feel as though... Okay, these are just my thoughts, okay? These are my thoughts, please. I'm just a boy with a brain, and sometimes my 2 brain cells, they come and they meet each other in the same room, and this is what they think of, all right? WWE and AEW are like, you know the knots that you learn how to tie when you're in the scouts, when you're a Boy Scout and what have you, right? The AEW and WWE have their own knots. Either one is effective. There's no good knot and a bad knot. That's why they teach you multiple different knots. You got the winter knot, and that's the only fucking one that I know, to be honest. You've got a bunch of different knots, right? So I feel like AEW's got the fucking blah 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 knot, and WWE's got the something knot, right? I need to cut down on swearing, okay? I noticed that I need to stop doing that. I can easily bleep it out, but I know that listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. If this starts taking off, then YouTube is gonna be like, hey, watch the language, and I'm gonna have to listen. So I'm gonna try and be a good boy in these next few episodes, especially in season 4, okay? Shout out to season 4. Because I am still doing that, alright? Anyway, they've got different knots. WWE, in my opinion, and this isn't fact, in my opinion, WWE is a stronger knot than AEW does. AEW has a tight knot, and it's effective, but WWE is like, that knot is great and all, but we've got this one, which means it's not going anywhere. We've like double twisted, flipped, shoved it, knotted, you know? Like it's not getting anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I feel like their roster they've got more of a tighter grip on their roster, you know? And I could be wrong, and it's okay if I'm wrong, but I just feel like with the factions and the storylines, I feel like the characters are a little bit more cemented, you know? And I'm not saying that AEW, I don't want it to come across like I think that AEW doesn't have any characters. They do. I just think that AEW is doing more, the characters are more so centered around how they wrestle in the ring and not necessarily how they carry themselves. Like, the Acclaimed are characters, and I love the Acclaimed. Everybody loves the Acclaimed. Come on. Fucking House of Black are characters. Julia Hart is a character. I don't mean to like separate them, but I'm saying like Julia Hart's her own character. She had a character arc even, you know? So it's not that there are no characters. I'm just saying maybe they don't need more characters. Maybe they should stick with the characters they have, and then some of them are like wrestling characters. Like some of them, their character is based on how they wrestle, and then some of them is like based on how they act. I don't know. Maybe I should stop looking at it like that. Maybe I shouldn't see that AEW has its own blend and WWE has its own blend, and I should be happy with both and stop being a negative Nancy for once in my miserable life, eh? Goodness. So, I like this. I think that this is good just because we're not in the, I'm going to say this until I die, we're not in the Vince regime anymore. So it's not like they're going to get called up and then smacked around and then thrown back in NXT. They're going to get called up, they're going to get put in a storyline, some type of storyline that develops their character, right? I doubt that they're going to win tag team, I doubt that they're going to win any type of gold anytime soon because that would be too soon. Even for Legado del Fantasma standards, it's too soon. Let them be on the main roster. Let them wade around in the water. Let their toesies get all wet. Let them get used to the temperature, and then they sit, and then they lay down, and then their neck is like below the water. You know, and let them get comfortable, right? And then when they're all comfortable, when they're sloshing around in the water and what have you, and they're like, you know what? I feel like I know what I'm doing. Or bow, you fucking conk them on the noggin with a number 1 contenders match. I'm like, huh? Who? You know? And then they win, and it'll be great. So here's hoping that Legado del Fantasma have just an absolute wonderful time when they get called up, you know? I can't wait to see. Finally, we're going to be talking about something that's, it's not even on, well, okay, you know what, it probably is, but I haven't even looked. Maybe I should look. Oh, look. Hold on. If it wasn't already clear based on the latest episode of Dynamite, it looks like AEW's latest signing is well on her way to getting back in the ring. According to Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer, Saraya has been medically cleared to compete. This news comes after weeks of speculation as to whether or not the formerly retired wrestler would be able to get physical in AEW, or if she might serve instead in some kind of general manager role. It's the way that I talk, and like I'm reading and I can't read, and other people pronounce things differently. It has been reported that the doctor who cleared Saraya for action is Dr. Michael Sampson, who is currently AEW's ringside physician. Sampson has previously worked for WWE in the same position and is trusted on a weekly basis to ensure the safety of performers. Well, then that shuts me right up then, doesn't it? That shuts me right up. There's nothing else that I can say. Because I was initially like, should they do this? I don't know. I was even going to go so far as to say the only reason why this is happening is because Tony Khan is I don't want to, okay. He wants Saraya to wrestle so badly. And if she's not medically cleared, then it's going to put a hole in the sales. So Tony Khan kicked the doctor's door and said, hey, one of you just clear her so that we can get this show on the road. I didn't want to think that, but that was a thought that was in my head. But now that I'm hearing that Dr. Michael Sampson he previously worked for WWE in the same position and he is trusted on a weekly basis, then what more can I say? Not only did he used to be a WWE physician, but he is trusted. Well, fine. There's not much I can say then. All I can from this point, ladies and gentlemen, at the time of this recording, from this point forward, whatever happens to Saraya is whatever happens. And I know how that sounds, but there's nothing, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing we can do now. That is it. It's over. That sounds so bad. Well, it is over, actually. It is over. Her whole thing about not being at Wrestle, that's done now. It's over. And now she can go back in the ring. Does this mean... Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. Saraya, this doesn't change my opinion on you. I still think that you need help on the mic. And I highly doubt that you're going to go in there doing cartwheels and backflips and what have you. Am I expecting you to do something worthy of 5 stars? No! I don't really expect anybody to do that, because that's putting them on such a high pedestal for no reason. But am I expecting you to do absolute blow it out of the water? Not entirely. Let's be honest with ourselves, all right? Not entirely. Could I do it? No. But listen, let's be honest with ourselves, okay? I'm just being honest. Her last tenure in WWE, she wasn't necessarily knocking out 5-star matches, but then again, who among us was? Hey? Sheesh. You could argue that maybe it was just how she was booked. You know what? Maybe I should stop talking and wait until she actually gets in the goddamn ring, okay? Before I make my judgments, hey? I keep saying that, but it's just it's a good, like, you know, like the period at the end of a sentence is just good to stamp that. So listen, she's been cleared, and it's been by a trusted member of the team. So that's it. You can't even be like, oh, you can be worried all you can be worried. Be worried. If anything, it's good because you care about her safety. I care about her safety. I don't want her to go out there if she's not cleared. But if it's by a trusted member and it's by a man who knows what he's doing, then folks, we got to leave it at that. All right? What do we talk about? Gable Steveson is now training with WWE full-time after the heart procedure. I'm glad he's all right. I'm glad the procedure went well, and I'm glad he's training. I can't wait to see him. Bandito has not signed with AEW, and he confirms the WWE offer. Again, Bandito, you, my man, are it, okay? Tony Khan, maybe don't tell me you need him. Maybe tell him that it would be very beneficial, but then again, I'm not Tony. Legado del Fantasma are being called up to the main roster. Hooray! I can't wait to see what they do, and I'm excited for their future. And Saraya is cleared to wrestle. Listen, we're gonna have to see what happens. I talk like she's going to get hurt. She's not gonna get hurt, and God forbid she gets hurt. God forbid she gets hurt. I don't want her to get hurt. You haven't wrestled in a long time, and it took a very long time for the medical team to clear you, and now you're cleared. So I'm very apprehensive, okay? I'm doing the parent thing where the child is like walking, but like they have no worry about falling, but you've still got your hands held out in the air. But you know what? God damn it, she's a grown woman, and I should be more confident in her ability and her ability, really, to do her thing, all right? That means I don't trust her as a performer. And you know what? That is irresponsible of me towards her as a performer. I don't know what I'm talking about, boys. That's going to do it for this episode. I want to give a shout out to everybody who stopped by. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. And as always, big hugs. Big hugs all around.